This session talks about the journey of fintechs based out of Pune and how being a part of such vibrant city has helped them achieve their business goals so far, and what more can be done to turn Pune into a global hub for such businesses. This session is moderated by Mr. Vinod Parmar, Global Head Sales and Marketing, Vayana Network. Joining Vinod in this conversation, we have Mr. Ajay Prasad, Founder Director, Rise Retail and Payment Solutions Private Limited. Mr. Anurag Sinha, Co-founder and Chief Executive Officer, One Card and One Score. And Mr. Tanuj Sinha, Founder, Credit Heart. So over to Mr. Parmar.
Hi, thanks. So a very warm welcome to everyone on this session. I'm Vinod Parmar, representing Vayana Network, India's largest platform for B2B trade financing. So essentially what we've been doing over the last 5-6 years, anchoring ourselves out of Pune, is to work closely with large banks, large NBFCs, but eventually to serve the whole ecosystem that multiple corporates operate with, both on the distribution and on the supply side. Affordability and convenience is two key mantras that we sort of live by, and we ensure that every MSME that we can serve, whether it's in the first tier of these ecosystems or going all the way up to the last mile, are taken care of with the same level of comfort, ease, and affordability. So when our journey started about 5-6 years back, Pune was a natural choice. Great culture, great people, good food, and definitely less traffic as compared to any other city of this size. So I think that's really what got us going here. And the other obviously historic facts, if one could look at them. India, Pune has been, for a long time been called the Oxford of the East, and then possibly Detroit of the East, as I would like to also call it. Great IT hub in terms of the kind of tech base of large companies that's been operating out of India, both domestic as well as global. But somewhere I think something has been missing in this last 8-10 years of the startup journey in Pune. If I could start with a more provocative thought, that we have missed the bus in probably wanting to be the valley of the East, right? So over the next 30-40 minutes, we would love to explore what is it that needs to be done differently, or what is it that needs to be done further additionally to sort of get Pune somewhere on back of those, top of those charts. Sure. So I'm joined by three great, entrepreneurs, fantastic businesses that they're trying to anchor out of Pune. Ajay Prasad, Anurag, and Tanuj. I would just request each of them to sort of briefly introduce themselves and their businesses as well.
Yeah, hi. This is Ajay Prasad. I am the founder of Rise Retail and Payment Solutions Private Limited. We started this entrepreneurship journey almost 6.5 years back. In my 20 years of journey in corporate world, I realized that the SMEs, the small and medium size of retailer, they have been missing a big thing. I mean, they have not been digitized in a very informative and structured manner. And that's where the consumers are also not taking advantage of that platform. So we are basically, at this moment, at the first stage, we are trying to build a large network of small and medium retailers through our consumer engagement and process automation tool. And then the second phase will start, where we'll also integrate consumers with that, through loyalty program, network program, and creating more value for the consumers. So we started this journey, has been quite tough for us. And we know that in that journey, we'll come across a lot of tough questions. So we are trying to find solutions of all those questions, So that's it about Rise Retail.
Great. Okay, Anurag. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Vinod. So we have we run two products, One Score and One Card. We are like 2.5-year-old company in Pune, and very simple insight. India is a young nation, lots of aspirations. Affordability is yet to catch up. We are trying to bridge that gap on the consumer side. But we also realize that this is a very young population, so we also have an obligation to teach them how to manage a good credit. So we run two products. One Score is about credit education and management product, make what we call is credible communities, to whom we issue credit in partnership with banks through a product called One Card. Completely full stack approach, because we believe that's what needed to solve for a mobile first generation. Completely built out of Pune, and I'm sure I'll be happy to share why we chose Pune. Because we started just 3 years back, and it was a tough call between Bangalore and Pune, and lots of thoughts went into choosing that. Over to Tanuj.
Hi, Vinod, and great to meet the other panel members here. So I've been part of the Pune ecosystem for the past about 7 years or so. Started my entrepreneurial journey with a company called Finloc, which was the previous venture. I've now started a venture called Credit Heart, which is the first product we built. What we essentially trying to build here is we believe that there is discrepancy in serving of financial services to people in the middle and the lower layer. And we believe that there are amazing products being built by innovators like Ajay as well as Anurag. And what we're aiming to build is the railroads on which these products can reach the mass market. So in effect, we've taken an approach of multi-layered. The first product that we built is Credit Heart, which enables fintech lenders to reach the target segment that they want to get after. So that's the first core platform. The second part that we're building is to embed these platforms in people who want to start a fintech layer. So there are multiple players who have massive amount of users and existing bases, and they're interested to do products in fintech. So we're enabling them to launch a fintech and a lending vertical using our platform, using a marketplace approach. And the third is to sign up people, allowing them to have a phygital layer of acquiring users for our lenders. So basically these three layers we believe should allow the fintech partners on one side to get to the end user who's really looking for these products and wants to use them.
Great, fantastic. So, just on your point on middle class, I think it's a universal truth. Middle class always suffers. Any solution which I think eases their problem has a long way to go.
Yep.
So let's actually get started on this whole Pune thing, right? And all of us obviously have had some natural reasons to choose Pune, or maybe some strategic reasons, if I can call them as well. And somewhere if you just look at the stats, right, about 1 lakh plus registered startups in the country, 8,000 out of Pune. Yet if you just look at the so-called unicorn count, which unfortunately has become a benchmark of a measurement of success, if one could see, in the startup ecosystem. So out of some 79, 80 unicorns that India has produced now, I think Pune's contribution has nowhere been close to what the market share or the fair share should have been. About 4 or 5 names that come to mind from Pune. Yet I think there are entrepreneurs, there are teams, who are putting their heart and soul, like I said, anchoring themselves out of Pune. So let me start with you, Anurag, right? You spent a number of years in Mumbai. You worked with a number of banks before you chose to start your entrepreneurial journey. And being in the fintech space, it probably would have been natural to keep Mumbai as the base and start from there. Maybe create an engineering center out of Pune like a lot of other companies. What made you actually look at this whole cost of relocating? Difficult to pull a banker out of Mumbai, right?
Yeah. So I was in Mumbai for 14 years, as you know, and pretty much the home. My thinking was pretty simple. We were building an engineering first company for consumers. So the technology talent, the tech talent was one of the most important ingredient for our success. And it was difficult to build in Mumbai. So the choice was between Bangalore and Pune. Why we chose Pune? Because it's just proximity to Mumbai, that's one. Second thing is we also observed, even though Pune hasn't produced many large product tech startup, if I may use the term, but massive pool on services side, especially focused on financial services. You name the large biggies like from Barclays, HSBCs of the world, and even Infosys for that matter has their finance group is out of Pune. So that was like a second piece of the piece. Like we say, fine, we want to be in Pune, but I can tell you that because we are a B2C venture, raising money was like imperative for us. Even you would not believe the first press release when we announced, most of the media wrote about the Bangalore-based startup has raised money, and we actually had to correct it. Sorry, we are in Pune. Many people even assume that we are in Bangalore and say, okay, we can catch up tomorrow. Then we say we are in Pune actually. So I think, so our reasons were pretty simple because we wanted to have a good engineering talent, proximity to Mumbai. That was the reason. Clearly, Bangalore has a head start. That's the startup capital in the country, primarily because they have already produced successes. I strongly believe that success breeds success. And, from a talent perspective, Pune is up there, but we haven't generated many successes. In fact, if you look at the unicorn count just 3 years back, that would be almost zero. But I'm so happy that in last 2 years, at least we have now, it just allows people to aim bigger and, look for larger problem to solve. And that ecosystem starts churning itself, which is what, in my opinion, Bangalore is doing it. I remember in like 4 years back, if I'm hiring an engineer, they'll talk about, do you have an on-site opportunity available? And we say, there's no on-site here, this is a product company. Thankfully, I don't get these answers questions anymore. So I think it's a journey. We're very happy to be here, primarily because the cost of operation is too low, traffic is not there, which almost adds up to 1.5 hour productive time. And what we found our sweet spot was, look for engineers who have either Pune connection or around, and then the attrition rates are also low. So in all, we're quite happy.
So on the
we
traffic,
would love to contribute to how to build this ecosystem so that there are like more people who come around.
No, fantastic. And the last point you mentioned, I'm going to come back to that towards the end. I think there's a lot that can be done together. But to your point on traffic, right? Like a friend had once mentioned to me, the amount of time people spend on Marathalli Road in Bangalore or at the Silk Board Junction, that's the average commute time for a Pune guy to get to office. So I hope more people listen to this and eventually make up their mind. Ajay, to come to you, right? Retail, tough segment to operate in. Lots of demands, not only at a consumer level, but even at the trade and distributor level. And which is really where I think brands are trying to digitize and move their operations. But at the same time, Pune is also in a way very demanding market, right? As Puneites, as they're famous, right? Very, very discerning customers, not just the consumer, but even the trade. So how's your journey been? Has Pune continued to also be the anchor for all of your, new innovative ideas, operations, or it's sort of been pan-India with a start here?
Yeah, so to decide why Pune and why not any other market, we did have in mind Bangalore. I mean, when we started, I was thinking that everyone talks about why Bangalore, why not any other city. So, and I found it a little difficult to answer that question. And I said, what is that Bangalore have compared to Pune? Yes, it has a better ecosystem in terms of funding, but in terms of when you look at the market and strategic orientation, I think Pune is more, I would say, more Cosmo and has a large number of customer to do your beta testing, to do all your kind of market testing. I won't say the product testing as such, but when you go to the market and do your positioning, do your pricing strategy, I think it's a fantastic market to do all these kind of strategies. And we did exactly the same thing. So we went to the market, we learned, and as you rightly pointed out, the Pune retailers are our customers. Okay, the Pune retailers are, they are, I won't say they are very rude, but they are very clear. They are very upfront. If they like, they say I like. If they don't like, they say I don't like. And that's the good thing which any kind of seller would love to listen to. Rather than spending much time on that, that rather than keep convincing that guy, let's find out the value, what he would like and what he'll pay for that. So in that sense, Pune has been a great market for us. And so today we are operating in 18 cities, but besides Maharashtra, we have been primarily through the online channels or the alternate sales channel. But Pune, besides market, we had a lot of other things like connects to intellectuals, who come from business background, connect to people who come from, the varieties of businesses like automobile, fintech sector, agri sector, deep tech sectors. I think that way we had a good pool of people to talk to, to understand what best we can do, how we move forward. And I think that has added a lot of value to us. So that
I think that's a very credible point you've brought in, that I think somewhere over the last 3-4 decades, Pune has actually built such a solid foundation on different streams of engineering or for that matter, service businesses as well. So somewhere I think it does create a long-term opportunity for many such mentors or the expertise from the industry to be made available. I think to that extent, I think Bangalore probably or some other regions have also been a little more proactive. I think we need to figure out how can Pune sort of also start that kind of a chain effect or a positive viral effect where a lot of young companies can benefit from the experience and expertise of the seniors.
True. That's very
and to your point on the customers being discerning and demanding, 100% I think agree with you. So one of our most innovative plays that we've started sometime back, about a quarter back, was to actually look at going up to the last mile Kirana store for his financing needs when he buys from larger brands. And I think again we've gone with the same approach that if we can crack it in Pune,
you can crack anywhere.
I think we'll crack it in any market in India.
Yeah, that's very
so
true.
Let me also now check with Tanuj, right? As a business, you probably are looking at a lot more digital ways to connect with your clients, and in that sense, maybe you could have been based out of anywhere.
Yep.
So one is of course why Pune, but more importantly, given the kind of digital only emphasis to begin with on your client journeys, do you think Pune serves all the needs you have for building your business, or would a Bangalore or some other market would have been easier for you to source the right talent, right energies, marketing support and things like that?
So, if you look at the businesses that have, kind of become big out of Pune and largely have been built out from Pune, you would see that not a lot of them are consumer facing. It's only recently, with OneCard and maybe Early Salary and a few others that you've started, and FirstCry, that you've started seeing consumer facing businesses. So yes, there is a dearth of marketing talent, that you would find in Pune. But what worked for me while I was building Credit Heart is that we found talent who was looking to come out for places like Gurgaon and others in the NCR and Delhi, frustrated by some of the things that kind of plague those territories, right? So that's kind of been a positive for us. In terms of a business, we think digital, even on the phygital side as well, our acquisition strategy and our training strategy has been completely digital. So from a business building perspective, we could have built out of anywhere. The reason why we chose Pune and, even to my previous venture as well, it was the fact that you can find technology talent quite easily. And there's, Anurag touched upon the fact that there are a lot of financial services biggies who are based here. So in terms of global view, in terms of, what's happening out there, there's a lot that has already been learned by people who've worked in these organizations. So those are kind of the talent pools that you can tap into, not just for recruitment, but also from learning and kind of, picking their brains, which is something that's quite unique, particularly building a financial services play out of Pune. We've talked about Pune a lot and we've not mentioned the weather, which is quite a sad thing. When you compare the weather of, let's say, an NCR or a Mumbai, Pune is like, right up there. So that's, also something that brought me to Pune when I started my career. 15 years ago when I joined Infi, that was like a hill station, and coming from Delhi, it was like, kahin jana hi nahi hai. This is it, right? So, those are the things that kind of connect you on an emotional level. And, you would think, you would probably agree that creativity happens from a happy place quite often. So that's kind of what I'd like to say is the reason why we're based here.
Fantastic. I think weather, there's no doubt. I mean, happy to have an argument with anyone who believes Pune weather can be beaten by any other city. I mean, not too often that you see outside your office 5 different species of birds sitting out every morning.
I use a word called stress-free. I mean, compared to Bangalore or any other market, this is a very stress-free climate.
Absolutely. So now sort of to come back to the whole fintech ecosystem, right? I think Pune alone has upwards of 100, 150 odd registered fintech players, right, at different scales. I mean, some might, probably have just been babies of this year, maybe, if I can say that, but there are others who've been around for 5, 6, 8 years. The inherent advantages, and some of that you also spoke, Anurag, right? The proximity to Mumbai, of course, I think is very handy. A lot of us end up doing the morning, evening shifts to Mumbai to catch up with FIs, clients, as the case may be. But on the other hand, also the fact that you've got a fairly large engineering talent pool. The question I have for you is very simple, that the talent pool you see in Pune, right? A lot of them are, I think, fundamentally very strong from a code engineering standpoint. Are we seeing equal amount of passion for newer technologies, newer areas, which is really where the future fintechs or the future technology within fintech will have to be built? When one talks about AI, ML and other areas, is that also a base you see getting built? Because I guess for a lot of our business, it's going to be instrumental to see that talent over the next 5-10 years.
So I think from a purely talent perspective, I don't see any gap, but I think what I see gap is, is that in the product vision, when I meet the engineering team in Bangalore, lots of my friends who are building startup there, and we do meet a lot of teams there. We do keep evaluating teams who we can acquire or something like that. The Bangalore market is now completely building for the entire world. Like the entire scale at which they plan and execute is very different. Like 100 million users or 50 million users is where they will start their vision. Okay, I think I would say that's the area in which I would say Pune is still to catch up. And again, I will connect back to my dots before that. probably we haven't seen a 100 million user company coming out of Pune. Especially to financial services world, I'm like, we take a lot of inspiration from Bajaj. I'm like,
Absolutely.
I used to be in a large bank. They built out a massive business under our nose inside the bank, and nobody knew how they became so large, and they are large. Right now, the most dominating player in unsecured lending, the area in which we operate. So I'm like, it gives me credence that okay, the future will be here, because once we get to the the scale, then it will inspire a lot of other people to build it. That's one. Second thing is, I guess extending that, the talent is not the gap. It's about the product vision, I think. And once we start seeing the success churning out, it will start. I guess it will start just building it. We just need to make sure that we build the ecosystem. See, other thing is that Pune has a culture of not talk much, which is actually a good thing in my opinion, because you would rather let your product and your success get spoken by the customer and the market rather than you speaking about it. But as you know, building an ecosystem requires a certain amount of positioning and certain amount of, let's say,
Canvassing.
Canvassing, if I can use the word. Yeah, thank you. So, idea is that I think we're getting there, but not completely. But I see other cities doing a better job than us into that. But I can give you an example. Like one of the VCs who held a meeting like a couple of years back in Pune, and they held a meeting this time. We were of course forcing them to come and see the Pune ecosystem. And I was surprised that from the time last event, like 20 people turning up, this time almost 70 to 80 people turned up.
Wow.
So it is, I think it's in the motion. We just need to keep pushing there.
So in fact, just to sort of further that point, right? If you look at SaaS businesses, maybe to borrow from the whole IT services space that Pune was known for. So you've got players like Dhruva or Nicertis or even a Mindtickle, right? Eventually all SaaS plays made for the world. I think that's something I would like to sort of proudly state, right? Pune has produced a number of...
In fact, I sincerely believe that in SaaS, probably Pune will play even larger role because of the services background.
Correct.
We have the engineering talent, we know how to sell to large corporations across the globe. So these are the two most important ingredients you need. I think when people have to just understand the SaaS business model, will crack. And if Vaina goes public, all of us will get inspired to build the next guy. Yeah.
So to check your own thought process around this, Ajay, right? Retail, very, very large space, and I think it's just about started in this whole digitization journey, right? I mean, leaving modern trade aside, which is a well discovered and will continue to grow kind of a segment, but now suddenly everybody realizes that you need to also take these benefits up to the last mile, right? Now, to that extent, it's going to be a combination of both digital and physical sort of modes of work, right? How do you see that catalyzing happening, right? So anchoring yourself out of Pune, for any entrepreneur who's trying to think about a similar journey like yours, what do you think will be needed to be done to expand your sort of coverage and base? Because a lot of us obviously do have last mile presence in a few key markets, but your journey, I think, is a lot more deeper, getting into tier 2, 3 in terms of physical presence.
Yeah. So we being a SaaS company, the challenge for us is the existing examples that we have, like including Dhruva and other companies. These guys, they started SaaS product and they started focusing on the mid or the larger segments, and that's where the business is. If end of the day business you do for profitability, and that's where the profitability is. What we felt that the market lies somewhere down there. I mean, that's a very crowded market. When you go up, it's a very value-based market, very crowded market, and they're ready to pay you anything. So we decided to go from mid to lower segment. And the biggest challenge that we have is, how do you train them? How do you educate them to get into a software-based system? Because each of those guys are not prepared for this. They haven't been through this. So first challenge was to make them get educated. The second was to make them pay for it. That was another challenge. As an entrepreneur, if I reduce my pricing, if I go at a very lower pricing, which is, I would say, affordable pricing for that guy, I won't be able to survive. So that was the biggest challenge, I think, not just Rise Retail, but all the companies who come into such kind of retail business, which is predominantly a SaaS-based business. They do face such kind of challenges. You go to any kind of system, go to a government system, there is no funding for a IT-based company, because this is not an asset-based business. So that is one challenge that we faced. And then the challenge came is, how do I reduce my cost of acquisition? Because at the end of the day, it is all about acquisition. If I reduce my cost of acquisition, I would be able to, run for a, longer mile. And that's where we worked on. So we worked on with several channels. The most common was the physical channel. Worked on the digital social media based channel, which doesn't work unfortunately for this segment. And then we worked on the alternate channel, which was primarily into the digital sales. And I think that is where it has started working. So probably, we are in a market, or we are in a segment where we are trying to create the whole ecosystem, which probably the guys who will come later would certainly take leverage on these market. Okay.
So I think somewhere partnerships probably is going to be one of the key ways to anchor any SaaS business going forward.
Very true.
So in your experience, Tanuj, right, there have been a number of players who've, for example, tried doing this whole digital acquisition mode for different customers, consumer segments. What is it you think, can be done differently or is being attempted by a few players, including, the likes of yours, where you've got possibly a captive audience of a large industry around you, whether it's services or manufacturing? Does that make a difference to early stage companies to be able to look at Pune favorably and reach out to the industry as, possibly the first source for launching such tie-ups and partnerships, right? Whether it's for salaried customers or contractual staff and things like that.
Yeah. So, it is a good point, and this is one of the things that we have in mind to kind of go out and reach these factories as well. Unfortunately, we live in times when this is not possible, right? No one's going to allow you to go and do road shows in the industry. But yes, that is one of the ways in which could create a lot of visibility as well as reach, from our product and our portfolio perspective. If you look at the different ways in which people are building the acquisition layer, right? Most people, when they start out, and I'm now talking more from a fintech lending perspective, typically people would go about partnering with marketplaces, which could be people like us. But then eventually most of the acquisition happens on their own kind of, acquisition channel. So you'll build your Google and Facebook and all those ads. Once you've kind of, the way that digital, platforms work is that they work up to a certain limit, right? So you can give them X dollars and they'll give you Y amount of value, right? The moment you make it 10X.
So we hope when you start the journey.
Yeah, but then when you get to 10X, it doesn't remain, get to 10Y. You end up with 2Y. And that's when you realize this is not going to work to scale up in a massive way, right? That's when you've got to go and look out and look at other players that can help you from an acquisition perspective. That's where people like us come in, for our partners. But then again, there are not a lot of marketplaces like ourselves and platforms like ourselves which are looking at the people that are not served well. So what you end up doing in the financial space is you will go to marketplaces like Credit Mantri and the others. But then the customers that you are looking for from a segment perspective is not their core segment. So their business is not built to acquire and scale up on that particular base. So that's where we've kind of differentiated ourselves from the existing large marketplaces and platforms, where we've said we are clearly going to go after tier 2, tier 3 towns. We're going to look at people that are in the mid segment because we believe that's where the growth is. And that's what the business model is built for. So we're not looking for prime customers and thinking that we will also sell these other products. We're actually building for these products. And that's where our innovation has to be. It's about reaching these people at scale and not just in traditional manners. So things like factory tie-ups and corporate tie-ups are ones that we would go after. Things like embedding our platform on a revenue share basis with people that are interested to start fintech and other layers is something that we're doing. We also believe in tier 2, tier 3 entrepreneurship is very ingrained to Indians, right? I mean, that's where the whole kirana and everyone wants to sell, everyone knows how to sell. So why don't we tap into that entrepreneurial base and help them give a platform on which they can sell? So take the lending partnerships that we got and help people in your vicinity to sell, avail these financial products. And that's kind of the different ways in which we are building it out.
So talking about vicinity, I just wanted to bring a different facet. Pune in many ways also is sort of the connecting point to a lot of interior, next tier of cities in Maharashtra, if I can say that. And thanks to the engineering or educational base that the city has had, it has also acted as a center of gravity for a lot of talent from those cities to come in. From a startup point of view, have we actually seen that kind of one, talent influx? But B, also from an ideation point of view, right? Do you think Pune can and should do a lot more in terms of encouraging entrepreneurship, encouraging ideas and bases to be built out of neighboring cities, whether it's Nasik or Aurangabad or some of the other cities around us? Ajay, what's your thought?
Yeah. I think Pune, see, Mumbai is the capital of Maharashtra, but I believe Pune is, lot of sense is the capital of Maharashtra. When you look at this, and I really mean it.
Your phone's going to be busy tonight.
Because, when you look at entrepreneurs or the interested guys who are trying to, get into creating something out of nothing, go to any market, like whether you go to Nagpur, Sangli, Kolhapur, all these are connected with Pune. Because, I don't know, although the proximity probably would be same as Mumbai, but the whole fraternity that we have in Pune is, although I would say that it's a little disintegrated one at this moment, but I think it is still powering these rural markets, rural entrepreneurs. And they do get a lot of, power from Pune. They keep visiting us. They keep visiting, keep connected to the Pune market. And they have also started building up a lot of things. But the one difference I would say, the Pune fraternity in terms of the startup investors and the entrepreneurs are not as integrated, as coherent as they are. I think there is something, which we can learn from them.
So I think venturing out is something which probably will be an initiative people from Pune might have to take. Sort of to go back to our original theme, Anurag now. What would be the top 2-3 things that come to your mind, right? That can be or need to be done in addition. I wouldn't say differently, but definitely in addition to what we've seen happen in Pune over the last 5-10 years, to sort of keep pushing us up the league table when it comes to fintechs and the overall startup ecosystem.
So just two things. I was just picking up the previous question. I think for certain segments, Pune just like makes so much sense to go beyond this, because like depends on products. Like for example, if I talk about cooperative sector, Pune is the hub. Yep. Pune is in the southern Maharashtra, which is usually a richer rural belt. And all that. The income levels are high. You have a very thriving dairy and sugarcane industry. So naturally, somebody who's trying to build solution on that, it makes sense. But I think for a lot of us are building products which are for the rest of the country or probably rest of the world, we still use Pune more like a talent base, and that's a ready customer base to whom we can, probably pilot our product before we go out. So that's one. One trivia that even in banks, by the way, Pune used to be one of our test markets for younger generation. For the simple reason, as you initially said, Pune has a very large student population. Also, Pune has a very large now Cosmo population, which has come from other parts of the town for IT. So, and it's not as large as Bangalore, which becomes like fairly homogeneous, where this is like much easier to manage. Anyway, coming back to this, so I think in particularly in our area, I think all of us know Maharashtra government is doing a lot of work. A lot of incentives are being given. I think the onus is more on the entrepreneur side, less on the government side. But few things what we should do as entrepreneur is to come together and mentor, and let's say, because success still some time away, once we get to the cycle where the first companies get IPO'd and then the capital comes back and people have gone through the ESOP wealth cycle, they've seen the from seeds to scale cycle, then it's very easy for people to, like think through. Look at, a lot of the, startups you see in other cities are the one who actually worked in these companies before. And it's just easier for them to pick those lessons and just implement that. How do we short circuit that? That's one. Second thing is, like I see a lot of people looking to start something on their own, but I would probably say that they should just make sure that they study the success stories of at least Indian startup. Forget about the global startup. It'll just refine their own thoughts much better. So I have observed that a lot of good ideas come as features. Can you make this an independent business? Yeah. And that's in one area which I just take it on myself. Anytime I meet an entrepreneur, I try to push them in this direction that, do you think this can be made a standalone business? Or is it just a good feature? Because I think ideas, there is no dearth. So I would say the onus is more on the community rather than anyone else from outside. We are getting all the support we needed. Rest is, of course, you have to fight your own battles. I'm like, The good thing is, at least the domestic financial services sector, most of the banks, insurance companies, mutual fund, we call them manufacturers of the financial product, they're all open for partnerships.
Absolutely.
They all have actually now open departments, and as you know, all of us have dealt with banks. Once the departments are open, they have to do something. So they will partner with you. So I think the onus is more on the community than anyone else.
So one of the other ingredients, as entrepreneurs or as startups, we all sort of look forward to a lot more access to, or a lot more comfort on, at least in the early stage, is access to capital, right? So Tanuj, if I can ask you, right? You've now sort of seen 2 or 3 entrepreneurial journeys, right? Unlike this perception about Bangalore and even to some extent nowadays NCR, right? That if you're sitting in a cafe and voicing loudly a new idea, there's a likelihood of a term sheet, if not a WhatsApp confirmation coming in. So is that one space where I think a lot more needs to be done in Pune, where there is enough wealth, there is lots of industries, family businesses, who are all, I think, probably interested, but don't know where to start, unlike a Bangalore or Mumbai or NCR, where these practices have now got evolved. What's sort of your thought?
So that's true. If you look at the, in terms of capital, where the capital is most required and risk capital is most required is at the start, right? And that's where I feel that most startups in Pune particularly struggle with finding initial capital. So at the seed, pre-seed, leading up to Series A, because at a Series A kind of a stage, you are a company that is being noticed. There's enough PR as well as VC interest that knows that you exist, and it's more about kind of telling your story, right? So it's really in this kind of valley of death, that you really need good amount of capital. And I think Anurag's already mentioned the fact that you've got to go through a couple of success cycles where these entrepreneurs come back and kind of deploy their capital in saying, hey, and this is to their core team, and that's how you find Flipkart mafias, PayPal mafias, right? These are the ones who say, hey, Tanuj, you've been part of my core team. What are you thinking about? And kind of fund that idea to be built out as a separate company.
So in fact, which basically means, I guess over the next 2-3 years, Pune is probably going to be in a very, very sweet spot. I think we've already had a few unicorns. 100%, there are a bunch of them already on the way.
Yep.
Maybe the next 2 months, next 1 year, we'll see a number of them. And hopefully friends like Anurag and many others will step forward and start maybe angel funds or some areas like that. But I think in a nutshell, there is clear consensus amongst all of us that Pune has a lot of virtues, starting with talent obviously being the first one, but this whole access and proximity to the industry, to Mumbai, of course, if you are a fintech who's looking at basing yourself in Pune. But I think above all, over the last 4, 5, 6 years, across different idea beds in fintech, whether it's B2B or the consumer side or even B2B2C, I think there are a lot of emerging players that have settled down very, very strongly. And we would, I think, collectively encourage all entrepreneurs who are looking at Pune as one of their options to actually reach out and connect with any firm of their choice in our space. I'm sure we are all more than willing to help.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I think that's been a great set of inputs from all 3 of you. We'll look forward to any questions if there are.
मिनट में अकाउंट सेटअप और ट्रेडिंग शुरू। हाँ कर सकते हैं। नहीं कर सकते। लगी शर्त और हारा तो It's possible with CoinSwitch Kuber. Download करो और Bitcoin trading start करो. CoinSwitch Kuber. सिक्का चमकेगा.
Cryptocurrency is an unregulated digital asset, not a legal tender and subject to market risks and price fluctuation risks.
Where there is life, there is hope, there is meaning. But life has its downs as much as its ups. Life is about challenges. Life is about opportunities. Time for joy, time for celebration, and time to introspect. Thankfully, in every one of life's moments, and even beyond life itself, there's LIC. Where there is life, there's always LIC. Zindagi ke saath bhi, zindagi ke baad bhi.
Welcome to Fego, a pioneer in the world of intelligent open finance. With our full-stack open finance platform, we enable companies to understand their users' financial behavior across various use cases, making finance engaging and actionable. Faygo's developer-friendly product stack helps clients with friction-free user onboarding and authentication using trusted account information. Connect and aggregate your users' banking transaction data from any source, either any of the account aggregators or directly from any core banking solution at flexible intervals. Enrich and categorize transaction data using machine learning algorithms to extract deep behavioral attributes of your users. Understand and act on real-time insights powered by your users' behavior for a variety of use cases ranging from lending, wealth, income verification, frauds, to even branding and marketing insights. Engage with your users by embedding our personal finance management SDK in your existing user-facing app to push positive financial habits and personalize financial insights to your users. If you are looking to engage or understand your user base's financial behavior to take informed decisions, Faygo is your perfect partner. With the complete Faygo suite, you can now capture what drives your users at every stage of their journey and use it to drive your growth. Plug into Faygo and let us do the heavy lifting for you.